Hey guys, what's up? All right. It's Double Deuce back. Well, I went over this transmission gearbox, whatever you want to call it. It's from Sterlingkit or Engine DIY. And I see Banggood sells these things too. And the weird thing is I don't even know what they're called. I don't know what company it is or whatever, but that's where you can get them at. And I'll put a link in the description down below. But I did some mods to mine, and I did some upgrades to the thing, okay? One, I threw a gear on the front, which is, you're going to need a bigger gear if you're going to run a bigger tire. But the problem is, let me zoom in here and give you a real close-up look of what's going on. Now, if you look in there, you'll see the gear. It's going to hit the bottom of the shaft there. I believe this is a 44, 45, 2, 46, 2, something like that. And I just hacked a pinion in there. This is off a Sen. It was one of my builds I did. But one thing you want to do right away when you get it is take it apart right there and put a spring in between the two shift dogs on both sides. What I do is I totally changed the shafts on mine, and because one comes out the front, one comes out the back, so I got some 3/16. It was just regular do-it-yourself rod at like Home Depot, and I put it in a drill and just sanded it down. But I still had to drill out these just a hair just to get it to move back and forth. But so I put a spring here for first and second, and then I put a spring here for third and reverse. Okay, so it's always a neutral. Then I come up with this apparatus shifter thing here. Okay, it just kind of moves back and forth, and I'll show you how it operates from the back, because this is my plan. Okay, now I was going to make a real shifter on this thing, so it would, shift on and swing on a ball, not swing back and forth. But you have to swing it back and forth with the servos, because you definitely need two servos to run this thing. So, got a disaster going on over here. So that's what I come up with. Okay, it's just a clothes hanger right now. It's a rough draft of what I wanted to do, but you'll see there's first, second, and then you swing it up, and there's third and reverse. So it all works off one rod, I should say. I had to bend the brake rod just up out of the way a little bit there to get this rod through, and like I say, I ran them both at the back. And it actually works pretty good. So first, let me get the thing lined up here. I had to lube this thing up a little bit because it was, so it goes into first, there's second, and then you swing it up, and there is third, and then reverse. You move a little bit, so it'll go into third and reverse. But this way, it'll always return to neutral with the springs on both sides, cut on both sides. Now I had to, I guess, offset cut the springs. You can see because they have like a Dubro collar here that's tack welded to this shift fork. So I had to, cut the spring like 3/4 of the way through just to kind of keep that in neutral. And a ballpoint pen spring will probably work the best because it fits the shaft a lot better, but it's a little stiffer, but not a big deal because you're gonna have a servo running everything anyway. So this way here, it all stays neutral until you engage it in whatever gear you want to engage it in. You see what I'm saying? If you want to go back and forth, when it snaps back, it goes back into neutral again. Now, this here, you can have a servo arm that pushes this forward and backward. And then you can also have a servo that moves it from side to side. You see what I'm saying? So it'll swing it side to side, and it'll actually function, and it'll always go into neutral. That way, when say you're kicking it in, okay, you want to go first gear, you kick it in first gear, and you're cranking along there, and you want to say go to third gear, you just pull it up and go up to here. Okay, but what happens is that goes right back into neutral. You don't have to worry about it. And these here stay in neutral. It's a, you know, so simple spring, 2 springs. This one here, I got another one of these coming. I ordered 2 of these things. And another L200. It's on its way too. But I wanted to get one of these first because I knew I was going to use the Kyosho gearbox in my my Toyan HDP 407, Toyan Toyota or whatever they call them, Toyota. Anyway, so I'll probably end up cutting this off right here and bringing this gear back to the point of where the shift, you know, the shift shafts slide. So in other words, that's as far as it's got to go. Now that's there, so I can nibble that off just a little bit, and I can bring this gear back a little bit more just to tighten up space. Because like I say, I think we're going to need a bigger gear on these things than you can put a smaller one on it, but you got to run really small tires. I did notice, because this gearbox is the same as the forward and reverse one, they just added a first and second, you know, with a third. Steve at RC Tanks and Trucks there, he had a smaller gear on his, and I think, I don't know what the King Hauler or the semi tires are, like they 1.7 maybe, or I don't think they're a 1.9. I think they're a 1.7. I don't have one of them trucks, so I don't really know. But and his scoots along pretty good with the smaller gear on it. But if you want to run, you know, something on the larger scale, you know, like a 2.2 tire, you're going to need a little bit more gear here to step it down. I'm going to go over a video of the gear ratios that I put in my my L200 HDP 407, and I'll kind of show you the gears I used to get the result that I got, because that I wanted it to have a very low range with a high range from the transfer case, and then I wanted to have a lot of power, and the more power, the bigger the gear, the more power you're going to get, the more torque. The smaller, the more speed you're going to get. So I'll go over that on another video to kind of explain everything, because I want to show you guys how I kind of hacked up the onboard electric start. It was just a simple thing, and I ordered a bunch of stuff online and nothing showed up. So it happens every year on my vacation. Nothing shows up when I planned months ahead for this stuff, and it just doesn't work. So, and I like to stay current on what's going on out there. So, you know, anybody could come up with an old video of old stuff and throw it out there, but I'm not out there to bore you guys. So this right here, everything works from the back. The brake still works, you know, it still grabs real good, and you always have neutral, and you're not going to end up breaking anything in this thing. I was thinking, you know, for the money they got out of this transmission gearbox, they could have threw a couple of springs in there, you know. I mean, it was just a simple thing to do. I mean, and the shafts, they could have made some longer shafts on it, because the way it was, like, this shaft here was on this side, and then this shaft here was up here, so it only came to here, to there, so it's going to interfere with anything you're going to put up there. So it's a great idea, it just wasn't thought through. Now, I was going to make an actual pivot shifter, just like a Muncie 4-speed shifter for this here. It's easily done. Right now, I just wanted to try to come up with a simple rocking back and forth thing here to fit 2 servos in. And eventually, I will try to come up with a pivot shifter. And even if I have to, I may end up switching these gears around in here. So the shift pattern is more of like a normal shift pattern. Like, okay, right now you got to push it to the left for first gear. Okay, now normally you would bring, in American cars, you bring the shifter to, you push this to the right, I'm sorry, but normally American cars you'd bring it this way. Now, I don't know if the right-hand drive cars overseas are like that or not. You bring it to the left and push it forward like so. That would be your first gear, okay? And then when you pull it back, that would be your second gear. And then as you kick it over to the right and go forward, that will be third gear and fourth gear, okay? Now this here, if I did it right, I could probably set this up to have like a regular GM Ford 3-speed there, Saginaw, where first gear or reverse gear is forward, and then first gear's down here, and then you got second and third. But it all depends on where the gears are on the shafts, which you can move all these around, so that's not a big deal. And it would be cool if you guys out there that want to put your drivers in there with the shifts, if I come up with a pivot ball on the bottom here, and you're still going to need 2 servos no matter what you do to shift, to move this thing back and forth and forward and back. It would look more realistic to throw it out there for your driver in there to be shifting it in real time. You know what I mean? And it'd be servo driven, and you can throw a servo in his head too. That we can look out the window every time he shifts. But anyways, that was my thoughts on that. Like I say, get a couple of ballpoint pen springs if you're going to, get one of these things. And I'll continue my kind of research and development on them as I go along. One other thing I wanted to mention too, the width of these right here, okay, I can't remember exactly the width of it, but it's almost exactly the width of the Toyan SF100, okay? And so they kind of set and even on the V400, it's very easy to run just a couple of square stock from the engine right back to the transmission, and then make some brackets, because it has mounting points here, on the top and bottom. So if you had some square stock that came right off the engine, right back to this here, and have it a couple of brackets coming off here, you could bolt it right to the square stock. And if you made it adjustable, that way you can adjust your pinion and clutch mesh too. So you could either move it up and down or back and forth, however you would set up your square stock. And so I'm going to look to see what I got as far as my junk bin goes, and see if I come up with some square stock. You could actually use brake tubing too. Just use raw brake tubing, because you can solder to that and you can weld to it if you take off the zinc coating on the thing. But anyway, like I say, I'll continue on with my my fooling around here and see what I can come up with for everybody. And anybody got any other ideas, throw it back at me. Let me know what you think of so far what's a build here, And the nice thing about the back of this here is, yeah, it does have a little bit of a short shaft there. And I might just get a collar and run another 2-speed transfer case on the back of this. And if I rearrange the gears in this, and I have, my reverse first, second, and third, and then have the transfer case on the back, it would be you know, just like a normal vehicle would be, you know, with a 3-speed transmission in it. And don't ask me to put a 3 on the tree, because that could get a little complicated. So that would be the awesome thing, to have a RC car, RC truck back, especially like an old 72 Chevy Blazer, or a pickup truck, or a Ford F-150 with the 3 in the tree. That would be awesome, but that's a lot of work. I spend more time fixing things and making stuff than I do running my rigs, and you know, I kind of want to run them, you know what I mean, and have a little fun with them. So I'll probably shortcut a couple of things here and there on some of my builds, just so I can take them out and have a little fun with them before the snow flies. But all right, guys, you have a good one. Stay safe. Like I say, you know, check out Steve at RC Tanks and Trucks. Check out Steve's at Black LA Mass. He's got a the high lift build with a Toyota body, and he's got the L200 in it. This thing's pretty sick. And Daniel Hernandez, he's got his L200 build too. And you know, like I say, he's like, all them ideas, everybody puts them out there. You know, it's wicked cool to see them. And you know, I pretty much put mine out there for everybody else to build on. So anyways, like, share, subscribe if you want. Take care. I'll catch up with another video soon. Have a good one. Later.